Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have two new exciting bronzer launches from Ilia and Kosas, two of my favorite brands in clean beauty. They both launched bronzers, and Ilia also released a highlight I'll be testing in today's video. Both of these are also the same price, so I'm going to be trying them on and comparing them for you guys. Hope you find this video helpful. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love for you to join me, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy at any point. But let's just go ahead and get started. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with just a quick description of each bronzer, what they claim to do, and key ingredients. Start with the Kosas bronzer. This is the box it comes in, by the way. It's just this mint green. Retails for $34, 3 different shades. And it says that this is a clean, moisturizing, baked bronzer with shea butter to give you a glow. And then they also put the shades of the tinted face oil that would go well with each bronzer shade on the back of the box, which I think is cool. So if you do use their tinted face oil, you can sort of look and see which shade would be best for you. This is also a talc-free and silicone-free powder. It has metafoam oil and it is baked to give you a creamy payoff, and as swatching them, they are very creamy. And the next, the Ilia one, is the same price, $34. It's kind of funny how that happened. They both release bronzers at the same time and they're the same price. The amount of product though, the Ilia one, you get 0.26 ounces, and then the Kosas one you get 0.21, so a little bit less product in the Kosas one for the same price, but I kind of expected that because it is a baked formula. For Ilia, this is the NightLight Bronzing Powder. I have the shade drawn in. It comes in 2 shades. The lightest shade is a light medium tan. This is also described as a clean, talc-free, finely milled powder. Buttery soft texture that blends easily and can build from a natural sun-kissed glow to more dramatic payoff. So they do both claim to be really blendable and soft powder. And this is a matte finish bronzer. Here are the swatches. Right over here is the Ilia bronzer. And then next to it is the lightest shade in the Kosas bronzer. So it is a lot lighter than the Ilia one. It does have, I feel like, a little bit, it's a different tone, more of a warmth to it. Not super orange, but definitely more warm. Here's the medium tone of the Kosas bronzer, again on that warmish side. And then the deep shade, which has a bit of a red hue to it. But I think that's actually nice because when you get a tan naturally, there's always a hint of redness anyway. So that looks like a nice shade. They're a little bit warm overall. If you like maybe a more neutral bronzer, these might not be your favorite because they are on that warm side. I'm going to start with the Kosas light shade on this side of my face, and then we'll do Ilia on this side. Go ahead and tap my brush in a couple times and then tap off the excess. When I was swatching this, I did notice there's a bit of kickback because they are super soft. So just be aware of that. Nothing too bad when you use a brush though. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just start applying this on this side of my face. By the way, I did use the Ilia True Skin Foundation in the Ilia powder just because it's what I'm most familiar with, but I do also have the Kosas Revealer on. So far this is super light and very blendable. It definitely didn't deposit like a huge amount of pigment that was hard to blend out, so that's good. Let's do the forehead. I did just dip back in. See if we could build it up. That looks really pretty. It was super buildable and blendable. If you have fair skin like me, I think this would be a really nice shade for you because I was a little scared the swatch looked a tiny bit warm, but on the skin, I think it's looking really natural and it's not pulling orange or anything. Take a little bit more and just see again how much we can build this up. And I did try to use the medium shade yesterday. It was just a little bit dark. Tried to use it almost like a contour. So for that, I would say if you have like medium tan skin, that would be a good shade. Again, they do have the corresponding tinted oil shades on there, so check on there to see which shade you would suit the best. But yeah, so far so good. I think that looks really pretty. I am always hesitant with more glowy powders because I have very textured skin, and you know, glowy powders tend to enhance things like that, but I'm not noticing that it's like clinging to my texture. It just blended over everything smoothly. And I do like the little bit of glow it has. You can definitely tell it's not a flat bronzer, and I think it gives a lot of dimension to the face. And I also it doesn't feel tacky, but it doesn't feel like a super matte powder either. It's kind of interesting. It just feels like a little bit like it has a shea butter in it, but very, very light though, nothing crazy. It just like doesn't feel like chalky or anything. Now let's try the Ilia one. I have the same type of brush, but this one is clean, different one from Luxie. I really love these. I have a couple of them. It's the 514 blush, but I use them for bronzer. So let's dip into this. Again, I also noticed with this one, you get a lot of kickback, I think more than the Kosas ones, because they are, I think, just a soft powder. So I'm going to do the same technique. Dip in and then just start to blend this on my cheek. Okay, so this one's looking very, very natural as well. It went on lighter than I expected. I think the tone on this is perfect, especially if you have fair skin. It's not pulling orange. It looks really natural, almost just like a natural contour on my cheek. If you compare the two, you can tell this one is a little bit warmer and you can tell it has more glow to it. I just hit myself in the face. But yeah, both of them look really natural. I think the Ilia one blended just as well. I didn't get any chalkiness or patchiness out of it. And again, it went on light but was buildable, which is exactly what I look for in a bronzer. So both of them, I'm really liking how they look so far. I think they're two different types of looks, you know, a matte bronzer versus a glowy bronzer. Really depends on what kind of finish you're going for. So far, I would say I'm definitely impressed with how natural both of them look. They don't look like I have like a bronzer on. It definitely is a natural tone, so I appreciate that. The one thing I would say that the Kosas has the upper hand on is the Ilia one. They only have 2 shades, and then the Kosas, they have 3 shades, and I really enjoy how they added it, that deep shade for deeper skin tones. I feel like with a lot of bronzers, there's only like 1 or 2 like light medium shades, and there's never something like this for someone with deeper skin to use as a bronzer. So props to Kosas for doing that, and also this packaging is very on brand for Kosas. The Ilia packaging, you do get a mirror in here, and the Kosas one doesn't have it. This is a pretty big compact, but they are thin, and the Kosas one is pretty chunky. It's just like this plastic container. But yeah, overall, I think they're both really beautiful. Here's a closer look at the Kosas Light Bronzer, and then here is the Ilia lightest shade bronzer. Let me know in the comments below which one you like better so far. I'd love to hear which side you're feeling more, Kosas or Ilia. Comment below. Except we do have the Ilia highlighting powder to try next. This is called their DayLight. The bronzer is called NightLight. Same price, $34, and again, they do have 2 shades. The deeper shade I don't have. It looks, you can find a swatch on their website. It looks like more of a rose gold. Doesn't necessarily look like it would work on really deep skin tones though. So just another thing to point out about the shades. Same formula, clean, talc free, buttery soft. The lightest shade I have here is called Decades. When I first saw this, I was a little scared it was going to be too deep for my skin because usually these champagne-y tones, they just like usually will cast a dark spot on my cheek. If you have fair skin, you probably know what I'm talking about. Here is the shade, ignore that, red splotch. It blends into my skin really well, so let's see if this works, but it is pretty pigmented and soft, although it doesn't feel as soft as the bronzer because there's not a lot of kickback with it. For this, I'm going to use my Eco Tools fan brush because I really like this for highlight. And then I'm just going to sweep it on and see what's happening. Okay, so you can already kind of see that on my cheeks. I do have a lot of texture on my cheeks, so most highlights accentuate my texture. This one isn't clinging to it too bad, but again, I feel like just any shimmery powder accentuates it, so it's kind of hard to tell, you know, if it's the powder or if it's just my face, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, the shade is really pretty. I think it blended in nicely. Let's do this other side. I would say the formulation of this is in between a very soft natural highlight and a super metallic highlight, which for me is a really ideal formula because it gives you that glowy look without being super stark and chalky on the face, but it's also not so soft that you have to build it up to even look like you have any highlight on. So I think that is pretty. I can notice it on my cheeks, but again, that might just be the texture on my face and not the highlight itself. Here's what we're looking like up close. You can see like the raised texture on my face, which is something normal for me. I think the highlight looks really pretty though. It's definitely not accentuating it as much as I've seen some other highlights do it. To wrap up my thoughts on both of these new bronzers, I think they're both great formulas. I had no trouble blending them. They both have a really natural tone on my skin, and they were both soft and buildable. They weren't too pigmented or not pigmented enough where you couldn't really build it up. I think they both have that perfect amount of pigmentation for a bronzer. The Kosas one, I really enjoy the baked formula. You guys know one of my favorite bronzers is the Hourglass one. So this kind of reminds me of it. I really like the glow that it has because it just adds a bit of dimension to your cheek. And having textured skin, I don't think it accentuates that too bad. And then the Ilia powder is of course matte, and I enjoy this one a lot. I feel like they're hard to compare because they're both just two different finishes. If you are a more matte bronzer person, you would love the Ilia one, but if you want more of a glow, I think the Kosas one would be the way to go. Or if you just love bronzers in general, you might want both of them. I like having both on hand because it just depends on the day what kind of look I'm going for. Usually if I do a shimmery blush, I'll do a matte bronzer, so there's not too much going on. So yeah, I'm impressed with both of them. Definitely, I think, again, that one thing is Kosas does have 3 shades and then the Ilia one has only 2. And then for the Ilia highlight, I kind of have the same thoughts. I think it's a really nice pigmented formula. I'm excited to see a powder highlight in Clean Beauty. I feel like there's not a ton out there. And this one looks really nice on the skin. It is more dramatic, which I enjoy. It's not super soft, so you do get some impact from it. My texture is enhanced a little bit, but again, it's hard to say if that's the powder or it's just my face because I do have that problem with a lot of other highlights as well. Overall, I'm really excited about both of these, 2 of my favorite brands here. I will link them below if you guys are interested. I've seen that the Kosas one is already on Sephora, so if you guys are going to shop the Sephora sale coming up, you might want to wait to get that, or just grab it on kosas.com. I will link both options below. And the Ilia one I haven't seen on Sephora yet, but I'm pretty sure it is launching soon, so keep an eye out for that. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I would love for you to join me. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And I'd also love to know which product you're leaning towards more, which one you liked better on my face, Kosas or Ilia, or if you like both of them equally, let me know your thoughts below. But thank you so much for watching again, and I'll see you in my next video.